Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
Catch the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Spreaker.com. Covering all things WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Global Force Wrestling, Paragon Pro Wrestling, any and all things wrestling and beyond, as well as an occasional appearance by some kick-ass awesome guests. 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Spreaker.com. Hey, if you can't catch our shows live, you can scoop it up on demand on great platforms such as Spreaker, iTunes, Mixlr, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and on YouTube. Just use the keywords, The RCWR Show.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., as featured on Wrestling8.com and TNA Insider, Lee Sanders.
And what is going on, my pretty babies? You are checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, coming at you this special Saturday night of March 12th. 2016. Pleased to meet you. Nice to know me. And I am on for a very good reason. You know, it is extremely rare that we do something for you guys on the weekend, unless it's a Sunday night pay-per-view. Well, in this case, technically that's what we got, as we had got a WWE Network special. Earlier tonight, it was WWE Roadblock. It was the first ever Roadblock pay-per-view event, the pit stop before WrestleMania, which now is going to be coming up in about 3 weeks from Sunday. Yes, 3 weeks from Sunday. It is amazing how time is just flying by over here. I want to hear from those of you that had checked out tonight's WWE Roadblock. You can interact and follow me a number of ways. Hit me up on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Again, Twitter at the RCWR Show. Like me, like my Facebook page over at Infinity One Productions. That's with an E. Make sure you spell out one. Infinity One Productions. Always posting some pretty fun stuff over there. A little bit of fun news that you can use. So, without any further ado, man, a lot of stuff that we got to cover. I got to say, from just a production value standpoint, thoroughly, let me say it one more time, thoroughly enjoyed the overall presentation as it came to us from Ontario, Canada. Boy, I tell you, it is usually like Bizarro World over there when it comes to the WWE fans in Canada. It's just, I still remember, what was it, maybe 3 years ago? It kind of feels like when we had saw the birth, if you will, of Fandango. Oh my God, when they went over there, was that crazy? Anybody remember that? Oh my God. And then it was just this overwhelming momentum. You're like, what the hell is this trending thing that's going on right now? And then the next thing you know, it somehow made its way back to the States when WWE came back on home turf. And now look where we are. We haven't seen Fandango in God knows how long, but that's an entirely different story. But yes, it came to us tonight, the WWE Roadblock event from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We had about 9 matches total. Apparently there were 2 dark matches. Main event, of course, had saw Triple H defend the WWE World Heavyweight title against the friend, what's he calling himself? The lunatic fringe, Dean Ambrose. I gotta tell you, I was looking forward to this. Shout out to those of you that's going to be checking this out. You might be checking it out live right now. If you are, I do have a chat room via the Spreaker platform, so you can hop in there, say hello. Also, shout out to those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads. You know, for those of you that love downloading our shows, keep on doing it, man. I love it when you guys are playing it and you're downloading it. But we also got to make sure we give a shout out to those of you that's checking this out via YouTube, because shortly after this stream is over, this episode will automatically be imported over to YouTube. So I definitely want to show some love and send a big shout out to YouTube. I always appreciate the support, as always. So let's talk about the dark matches that we had, God. We saw in dark match number 1, Mark Henry defeat Randy Sharp. In our second dark match, we saw Goldust defeat Victor. I'm assuming that is of the Ascension, of course. And then we pretty much had the official card itself. Now look, I'm going to talk about these matches. I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as possible. And then I just want to give some nice, good, thought-provoking things, in-depth analysis over the presentation of this network special overall, okay? So our first matchup, we saw New Day's Big E and Kofi Kingston defend the WWE Tag Team titles against League of Nations members Sheamus and King Barrett. I love how Ontario just gravitated towards the New Day to open up this pay-per-view event, or actually this network special event, because you could not check this out on pay-per-view. It was only exclusively on the WWE Network. I love how they kicked it off, though. Crowd was just chanting, singing the theme song right as New Day was coming out, making their way to the ring. They were very energetic. They were very just hot into it. Great crowd, like, predominantly throughout the whole night, I would have to say. The energy was constantly there. Definitely kept me engaged. Definitely kept me into things. I had my TV volume blasting, too, throughout this whole card, let me tell you. I love how New Day talked about how important it was to have a nutritious breakfast. In particular, if you did not eat your bowl of Booty-O's, well, you just wasn't gonna be having a good day. And they actually unveiled a box of Booty-O's, and the thing just looked, it was genuinely a real box of cereal. I mean, whoever was in their marketing department coming up with the designs and all that for it, I mean, I thought maybe somebody had just went on ahead and just slapped a freaking piece of photograph or something over it. No, I mean, just from every single corner, all four corners of the damn box. No, well, it would be for all four corners of the box you had. I didn't think about that for it. Like, wait, is it four corners or six corners? No, all four corners. It was designed beautifully. It genuinely looked like the real deal. I actually put out a tweet to the WWE and I said, guys, you gotta like put this up on the WWE shop.com site, because you guys would make a freaking killing if you sold it on there. I can just imagine the people that would like go on to shop.com, buy them up, maybe sell them on eBay for like 2-3 times the money, and there would actually be suckers out there that would actually spend that kind of money. I know there's definitely going to be some folks taking to eBay or Amazon in the coming days, because there was a really cool Roadblock promo poster that was signed by Triple H and Dean Ambrose. I'm assuming right there the day of this event. So I would imagine they only signed but a certain set of numbers of those. So I'd imagine those would be on eBay and other places in the coming days, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. But great opening right there, montage from the New Day. They also took the opportunity to bash on Sheamus, King Barrett. They didn't have anything to say about Rusev, because honestly they just didn't have anything to say. There wasn't any material they had for him. So that was a nice little dig at Rusev, because it's kind of like a nice way of basically saying Rusev, well, he he kind of sucks, you know? But then again, so does the entire league of unextraordinary gentlemen suck, to say the least. But New Day taking on Sheamus and King Barrett. Love this matchup. It was actually a really good tag team matchup. Final moments of it, we had saw at one point, I think it was Big E. He had took a strong kick to the face from King Barrett. And as this was going on, we actually had saw Xavier Woods. He jumped up on the ropes, tried to distract the ref. Meanwhile, we see Sheamus. He's not feeling this. He tries to chase after Xavier. Meanwhile, Sheamus is met by an attack from Kofi, who did something off of the steel steps. It was a nice little cool spot. Big E would connect with the big ending to successfully retain the tag titles for New Day. So they are definitely WrestleMania bound, it is looking like. So good for them. Meanwhile, we go to our second match of the night, which had saw Chris Jericho take on somebody we hadn't seen in quite a long time, which was the real American Jack Swagger. Remember, one of the last times we had saw this young man was right around the time when Zeb Coulter had hooked up with Alberto Del Rio, and Swagger was saying to Coulter, hey, come to your senses. What's going on here? Why are you like teamed up with him? This is false. Come on now. What are you doing? Talk to me. And we had saw a short program with ADR, Swagger, and pretty much Swagger, if I'm not mistaken, shortly disappeared after that. If he was on Superstars and whatever the other shows are floating around out there that probably 45 to 60% of folks don't check out, I don't know nothing about it. All right? But I love how Jericho came out. And you know, Jericho being a Canadian himself, you're thinking, well, maybe he's going to come on now here, kind of play to the crowd a little bit. We actually saw him rip a new asshole or two or three into the Canadian crowd, calling them idiots, making fun of their accents. And I'm like, wow, okay, so like you're a Canadian and you're making fun of your own people and you're a fellow Canadian yourself. Wow, he definitely did a damn good job in getting the heat, let me tell you. Honestly, I thought this was a nice move done by WWE and by Jericho, for the simple fact, you look at what had went down. What was that, Monday Night Raw? And Jericho had turned on AJ Styles. And then later on during the week, you go to SmackDown. You got Jericho explaining his actions, why he did what he did to AJ Styles, which is just basically a vanity thing. That's what it pretty much boils down to. Him needing to continue to build off of that heat that he was getting leading up into Roadblock, and then to get that heat over even more with the fans in Canada. I mean, we saw something that was actually kind of rare in the career of one Jack Swagger, which is we saw the Canadian crowd actually try to get behind Jack Swagger. I know, right? Like, when was the last time you guys like actually recall a crowd like really getting into Swagger? Not just cheering because it's like, well, we don't have anything else to really look forward to. I guess we can kind of, yay, Swagger, you know. No, like, Jericho pissed off this crowd really, really well, to the point that the fans, I mean, it wasn't like a Daniel Bryan type of reaction for Jack Swagger or anything like that, but I was quite surprised that he had the Canadian support during this matchup. They genuinely wanted to see Swagger beat the living shit out of Jericho. This is actually a very good technical match. The commentating for this match, I really had enjoyed it. JBL actually made me do a double take at one point because he said something along the lines of Jack Swagger, a former two-time world champion, and then they were referencing how one of the times that he locked up with Jericho, he had defeated him, not mistaken, for a world title or something to that nature. my history is a little bit rusty on that one. But the one thing that I was able to home in on while JBL was talking was two-time world champion. And I had to go, wait a minute, doesn't he mean one-time world champion? And I actually had to stop and think about it. And then I was like, oh, yes, he had won the world heavyweight title, or known to you WCW hardcore fans, the big gold belt. And then the second time was the ECW title. He actually had won the ECW title. Now, some of you guys may be like, well, Lee, that doesn't really count because that wasn't ECW. I agree with you guys 100%. You're not going to get any arguments out of me. So, Jack Swagger is a one-time world champion. We all could definitely be in agreement with that one, because I don't know what that other thing was that was going on. That wasn't ECW. I don't know what that was, but that was not ECW. Jericho defeating Jack Swagger via submission. I loved this match. This was surprisingly a really, really good match that we had saw. At the closing moments for this particular matchup, we had saw Swagger apply the Patriot Lock onto Jericho. Jericho trying to do any and everything he could to get out of this submission maneuver, even if it meant like holding on to the ref, which is exactly what he did. He was grabbing on the pants leg of the referee. Referee wasn't feeling this. He actually tried to get Jericho off of his leg, and Swagger can kind of sense that there's something weird going on behind him. So Swagger actually, if I'm not mistaken, lets go of the hold rather than just continue to lock that bad boy in. But that was enough of a distraction that Jericho had caused. Jericho was quickly able to come to, send Swagger to the ring post, Irish whipped him, then looked for the walls of Jericho, applied it to Swagger, and the match was pretty much over that way. I just thought that was like so weird, that sequence and how it ended and all of that. I just wish Swagger just would have taking that leg lock and pull the Kurt Angle, just drop on the ground, just hugging the hell, twisting the hell out of that leg. But it ended the way that it ended. But that was actually a really damn good match, I would have to say. Definitely worth checking out. Jericho looked, I gotta say, the matches that he has been putting out this go round since he's been back in the WWE, and this guy's like, what, 45, 46? I mean, he has just been on a freaking roll. He's never looked any better. I mean, yeah, he may have slowed down just a little bit, but you know, you can't help but kind of say to yourself, is he going a little bit more slower to preserve himself and exhaust the energy when it really counts the most, like on one of the grandest stages of them all? Is that what he's doing? And if so, that's okay. But is it the Jericho from 5 years ago? Definitely not. We can definitely be in agreement on that one. But he's never looked any better, honestly. Next matchup, we had saw the Revival, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder. They had successfully retained their NXT tag titles over Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. This, for me, just looking at like what were the matches of the night, I won't say this was the match of the night, even though there was a lot of cool spots in this. But I will say that with the way that all four of these men represented the NXT brand tonight, I feel in my heart of hearts that WWE, if they haven't like really thought about it already, they really strongly need to consider having there be a much stronger presence of the NXT brand at this year's WrestleMania as opposed to the year before and the other previous years. I think now more than ever the NXT brand needs to be represented, and I just feel this was a really good experiment with this Roadblock event. I appreciate the fact that WWE decided, okay, well, you know, on top of some of these main stars that we have on Raw and SmackDown, why don't we switch it up a little bit? Why don't we throw in a couple of NXT guys? And it was very interesting to see the reactions that Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy were getting. I was a little bit concerned in particular when Amore and Cassidy had came out with Carmella, because it seemed like the Canadian crowd was kind of like not really into them. It was kind of like, who are these guys? Like, who are they? What are they about? And you kind of heard a little bit of NXT chants that were going on. But this was during their entrance, mind you. Now, once the music was turned off and they were getting ready to cut their usual promo, you could hear the NXT chants really dominate. Now, I had my TV blasting. It did not sound piped in. So I look forward to, like, hopefully talking to folks that actually went to this event and really get their take on what the real reactions were for a lot of what we were seeing tonight. But it genuinely came off after the music went off that the fans knew who these guys were. They were really into them. You had the NXT chants, and then to see Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson come out, they got a decent reaction as well. I know a question was asked of me on Tuesday's RCWR show from not this past week, but the week before, about Carmella and if she really should be in the NXT women's title picture right now and all that. And I said short answer, no, not from what I've been seeing so far. It kind of feels like it's being forced down NXT fans' viewing eyes and all that. It really comes off like it's being forced upon, but that's a different story for another time. But Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy, I tell you what, man, they never looked any better as a tag team. Not to take anything away from Dawson, Wilder, yes, they have that old school mentality, no doubt about it. They are a nice throwback tag team, and I can definitely appreciate a nice throwback tag team. For me, it doesn't have to always be about the flash and the pants. It doesn't always have to be about, he can cut a pretty damn good promo. I love those guys that just simply go in there. I mean, look, Bret Hart wasn't really the best talker in the world, but he was able to go out there. He had the swagger. He was able to put on some damn good, entertaining matches. So, not to say that Dawson and Wilder are in the same breath of a Bret Hart. Make no mistake about it. I'm just saying, as far as the whole lacking in persona goes, that for me personally, it doesn't always have to come down to being flashy, being charismatic. Just go in there, whoop some ass, put on some really great, sound-minded, technical matches. Hey, I love Dawson and Wilder for that, but Amore, Cassidy, they never looked any better as they did tonight. And I haven't really been checking out the NXT product like that over the past couple of weeks. I've been busy with work and some other stuff, but I will be binging this weekend now that I got a little bit of free time. But man, to just see Colin Cassidy just throw Enzo around like a damn battering ram. I mean, there were a couple of cool spots during this match where we saw Cassidy grab Amore, and it seemed like he was getting ready to do like a spin out back slam or something like that, but instead he just spun Amore and tossed him into, I guess it was Dawson. I can't remember which guy it was, but it was like, wow, what a cool spot right there. Then there was another spot where he like threw him like a battering ram. Another spot where he threw him over the ropes like a spear. I mean, just great stuff that was going on right there. That Cassidy dude, he is one tall freaking beast of a man. I mean, I'm amazed. I thought maybe he was around the height of Edge. I got him beating Edge. Is it just me, or is he a tall motherfucker? He seems like he might be, I'm not going to say 7'2". He seems like he's damn near 6'10". or something like that. But great tag team match there for the tag team titles. Again, the Revival, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, they had retained. They pretty much had made use of Carmella being there in the ring. That was pretty much a distraction in itself right there when it really counted. Next up, we had Charlotte taking on Natalya for the Divas Championship. Boy, it was really nice. And just one thing that I have to say, just in general, coming back to key things I liked about this Roadblock event. I liked how on every single match that was being presented to us, I love how whoever came up with the writing, the producing for this, I love the direction that the commentators were taking, and which, by the way, the commentators, they came off really seeming very loose, very pleasant. They just really felt like, man, it's Saturday, we're just letting loose, we're letting the shit fly, but we're breaking it down to you in a way that you understand. This is why this is happening. They were connecting the dots for the viewer. So if you had that fan that maybe you had to introduce the WWE product to for the very first time, and you sit them down and you have them watch this Roadblock event on the network, everything just connected dots as far as like, who's this person, their acolytes, why are they fighting this person, the history, everything. Just, I love how everything connected, and the Charlotte Natalya match was no exception to that. These guys were digging up stuff about their rivalry over in NXT, talking about it was the program that Natalya and Charlotte had in NXT that really honestly had put Charlotte on the map, and in essence it did. And it just had me kick back and say, man, you look at what's going on with the main WWE roster. You look at what's going on with the divas that are set in place right now. And in particular, you look at what's going on with Sasha Banks, you look at what's going on with Becky Lynch, and it just seems like whoever is in charge of writing material for these girls, it's kind of like they're scratching their head, not really sure what the hell to do with them. And here you go to a match with Charlotte and Natalya tonight for the Divas title. And all the story, the background, the history, everything that is just boom, 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 being connected. You're brought into this match. And then not to mention, these two girls know how to freaking put on an entertaining matchup. Two of the best technical girls that's out there. And, you know, I was doing a little bit of research on Natalya because I was like, man, Natalya, she's been in the WWE and I'm not really sure how many of you guys are aware of this, but this might kind of shock you, but she's been in the WWE for 10 years as of 2017. So 10 years is a pretty long time, and you can't help but go, man, 10 years, yeah, you're definitely a veteran. That's like pretty old. But then when you look at how young Natalya actually is, notice I said young, because she's not old. Not by a long shot. Besides, it's not cool to call a woman old, okay? That's just one hell of a way you can offend somebody. At least some women. But check this out. Natalya is just like 4 years older. I have to use that because I'm making a point. She is young, though. Always young in my book. But Natalya is only 4 years older than Charlotte. Yet she's been in the WWE for 10 years. So, I mean, I was amazed because I was like, man, how old is Natalya? And I couldn't help but like go online and try to look it up. And I was like, wow, damn, you know, and it's just amazing. So that means when we were first introduced to her 10 years ago, that means she was like, because I think she's 33, 34 right now. That means when we first saw her, she was like 23, 24. So you're like, wow, like it's amazing how time really flies. It just, to me, it still feels like I've only been watching her for like maybe about 5 years, but no, it's been 10 years as of 2017. And you know, you would think by now, and I have always been a big fan, I've always been a big supporter of Natalya, you would have thought by now that she would have been like a multi-time women's champion, that she would have these long, extensive title reigns and all of that, but unfortunately that really hasn't been the case. I mean, sadly, she's been a one-time WWE Divas Champion. Yes, a one-time WWE Divas Champion. You wish that I would say, like, she held the belt, like, more times than that. But no, unfortunately. So, you hear that, you're kind of like, well, damn, that kind of sucks. But then, if you're tricky enough, if you're savvy like that, you may say, well, wait a minute, Lee, how many times was she the women's champion? Remember, I just talked about the Divas Championship. Now, if you want to talk about Natalya as a women's champion, well, then that's a different story. For that, I would say, my dear friends, you're going to have to do your own research on that one. But last I checked, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just dusting cobwebs here off of my brain, Natalya never held the women's championship. If I'm incorrect on that one, somebody let me know. But if I recall it right, she was never a women's champion. So when you hear that she's only been a one-time Divas champion, and she's been in the company for almost 10 years, I can't help but in the same breath also mention a girl like Alicia Fox. Talented fucking woman she is, and like, she's only a one-time champion. It's just a travesty when you really think about it, because the point that I'm getting at is, it seems like WWE is really struggling with what to do with certain women that get called up from the NXT to the main roster. And it's like, well, when you got women like Natalya that's right there that can lend a really good strong hand and help get a really good story over, help get a really good program / feud over, why not utilize her? And I don't know, sometimes I'm just kind of left scratching my head. And in this particular case with this match, I couldn't help but go, maybe we kind of got the wrong WrestleMania matchup going on. Maybe it needs to be Natalya taking on Charlotte, and then maybe shortly after that concludes at WrestleMania, you have Sasha Banks maybe chase after Charlotte for the belt, and it culminates in a match at SummerSlam, if you can stretch it out that far. Wishful thinking right there, but final moments of that particular matchup, if I'm not mistaken, oh god, I'm drawing a blank now. I can't remember how Charlotte had defeated Natalya. Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now. Okay, I remember now. We saw Natalya, she, I believe, had went for the sharpshooter. And it was cool how we saw a promo of her earlier, or backstage interview. I can't remember the commentator / interview guy she was talking to, but she had a really nice Bret Hart shirt on. He was giving a hug to his brother Owen. Of course, Bret Hart, we definitely wish him a speedy recovery, as he had successful surgery to remove a little bit of cancer. I've forgotten what area, but as you'd imagine, he's definitely going through the chemotherapy. He's got a long road of recovery ahead of him, but at least they caught it pretty early there. But yeah, we had saw Natalya, she had Charlotte and the sharpshooter, if I'm not mistaken, and Natalya kept trying to climb over to the ropes, and Ric Flair was just reaching his hand out, trying to do everything he could to help her out. Now, she didn't get to Flair, but she did manage to grab a hold of the ropes, and the referee saw this and he broke it up. And Natalya's like, what the hell is going on? And she actually looked at Ric Flair and was like, what did you do? I know you did something. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe we heard Ric Flair use the F word to Natalya. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure I heard him use the F word. I'm very curious to see if they bleep it out when they get ready to show the second, third, fourth replay later on tonight. But from there, we had saw Charlotte come up from behind, did a roll up on Natalya, referees counting. Charlotte puts her feet up on the ropes. Ref doesn't see this, and that is how Charlotte retains her Divas Championship. So if you're with me so far, we have New Day. They're definitely WrestleMania bound. We already know about Chris Jericho. Looks like him and AJ are going to be getting it on at WrestleMania once again. The Revival, should they have a spot at WrestleMania? I think a pre-show match, honestly. I think all four of those guys, Walter, Dawson, Amori, Cassidy, I think they represented NXT very strongly. I think they should be on the WrestleMania pre-show. Let there be a couple of pre-show matches. If they could maybe do 3 pre-show matches, that would be pretty badass, I think. Maybe they could make it be like a 90-minute pre-show special before Mania. Just some wishful thinking right there. Hope you're enjoying our reaction show for WWE Roadblock so far. Your host right here, Lee Sanders. And if you are enjoying so far and you're checking us out for the first time, I do hope you go out of your way to hit the like and hit the subscribe and all that good stuff so you never miss out, as regularly we air new episodes for you guys Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, live and in living color on Spreaker.com. Remember, if you have a comment, a question, a reaction you want me to tackle on the shows each week, you can send a voice message. Just head on over to the website, infinity1productions.com. That's with an E, put in the actual number 1, infinity1productions.com. And when you land on the site, click on the RCWR Show voicemail. And once you click on there, whatever your respected device is, as long as you have a built-in mic, you can leave a message, a 90-second message at that. If that's not enough, you are more than welcome to leave a second message, but 2 message max limit, please. I don't want to hear a part 5, 6, and all that other good stuff. Try to make your point in 2 messages or less. We've actually had folks leaving good questions in the voicemails the past couple of weeks, so we'll see if we can keep that trend going, but do appreciate that. We're talking about WrestleMania. Also, I want to remind you guys that coming up, what is that, Sunday of April 3rd, WrestleMania 32, there will be a WrestleMania post show. I want to take this time out to thank the many of you that had cast your votes on social media and on our website. There was a question we asked you, which was, would you like to see for one night only myself and my old broadcast partner, the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli, reunite? And over 72% of you said yes, we'd love to see it happen. So we are going to be doing it for you guys. We'll be streaming that live on Spreaker, and we'll be streaming that live on YouTube. I'm going to try to see if maybe we can do phone lines. Keep your fingers crossed on that one. We're also going to have some really cool prizes that we're going to be giving away. All the details as far as the prizes and all that goes, that's going to be forthcoming. If not before this weekend is out, by Tuesday's new RCWR show, we'll have all that sorted out, let you know how you'll be able to enter for these prize giveaways that we're going to be doing. So we only got a couple of more matches to talk about for Roadblock. Brock Lesnar taking on the Wyatt families, Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. It was amazing. At one point, it was Brock Lesnar taking on Bray Wyatt, and then we heard rumblings earlier in the week that apparently the match had changed, that apparently Luke Harper maybe was going to step in place of Bray Wyatt instead. Then we heard it like morphed into it was going to be a handicap match, but then the question was like, well, what type of a handicap match is it going to be? Is it going to be the entire Wyatt family versus Brock Lesnar? Like, what exactly is going to be going on right here? And then when it all was said and done and we got here to Roadblock tonight, we ended up seeing Brock Lesnar take on Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper. Surprisingly absent was big man Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan. So it really would have been nice to know exactly what had happened with these two guys, and I'm going to explain the reason why. First off, I love the fact that I finally got this match. I had been talking about this match since the Royal Rumble when Brock Lesnar got screwed by Bray Wyatt, and then we went those weeks there where Bray Wyatt was saying his thing, doing his thing, and Brock Lesnar shows up. He doesn't cut a promo saying he wants to beat Bray Wyatt's ass. We didn't get any of that. As a matter of fact, we had that one episode of SmackDown a couple of weeks ago where for like the first time in 10 years, Brock Lesnar returned to the blue brand. And wouldn't you know it, on the same card, we actually had Bray Wyatt as well, under the same roof, under the same card with Brock Lesnar, and there was no crossover. Like, who missed that? From a writing standpoint, you're like, who missed that? So you couldn't help but kind of go, okay, so you have this thing over here that apparently isn't being resolved. It's just floating in the air. What the hell? Now, we heard rumblings that apparently there was supposed to be a Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman match, but fans kind of like crapped on that because they really liked how Braun's been booked as of late, and I don't know if the reports are true that got back to WWE, and that's why they kind of went in a different direction with Brock. I know there were some rumblings that Brock was possibly going to take on Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. I'm not really sure. I tell you what, though, one thing that we all can be in agreement on is Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose, street fight, WrestleMania. I'm actually pretty damn excited for it. Quite honestly, I tell you what, it's going to remind me a lot like Brock Lesnar, CM Punk. That's exactly how it's going to pretty much come off to me. But this was like one of the shortest matches of the entire card. It was about barely over 4 minutes. We pretty much saw Brock Lesnar do suplexes to Luke Harper, as Bray Wyatt, all the hot game that he was talking, you, the beast, you've slayed many dragons, you've slayed the Undertaker on the mightiest stage of them all. WrestleMania, you slayed John Cena, but you have yet to conquer me. And, you know, we go through all those formalities, and, like, we basically see Bray Wyatt kind of, like, do to Luke Harper, go get him, Tiger. And Luke Harper's dumbass. I mean, this was just... just from a booking standpoint, you just couldn't help but, like, feel so sorry for Luke Harper, because you're kind of like, okay, where's the common sense here? Where's Luke Harper kind of like looking over to Bray Wyatt, kind of going, I need some help here. And then the other thing that was just kind of silly was the X number of times that Luke Harper kept getting the German suplexes from Lesnar, because it's like, okay, after a guy gets you like 4 times with that move, and the person that is supposed to be helping you kick this guy's ass isn't helping, I would think at some point common sense like kicks in, and like you roll out of the ring and you go, dude, are you gonna help me or what? I need some help here. I'm dying out here. Come on. We're supposed to do this. It's supposed to be a handicap. What's up, man? But no, Bray Wyatt was just... Now, some people will say to me, but Lee, he's supposed to be like this demigod or whatever, and they're supposed to be able to, like, do whatever he commands or whatever. And to that, I just say there is a simplistic story that is just in the makings right here. If they continue to operate the way that they're doing right now, I'm not even sure if WWE is even aware of how they've been doing Bray Wyatt and the rest of the Wyatt family as of late for past couple of months now, with the exception of Braun Strowman, who they just continue to make look pretty damn strong as much as humanly possible. But that's, if they think about it, seeds are planted. I said this on the show earlier this week and the week before. I'm going to say it again. I'm on to something here, and that's why I keep saying it. I think WWE has inadvertently, unintentionally planted seeds in the Wyatt family where there's going to be friction from within, where it will get to a point where the Wyatt family members will say, okay, Bray Wyatt, he's just not cut out to be our God anymore. He's not cut out to lead us to the path of righteous, because, you know, look at what's been going on with us as of late. He is a false idol. He is a false god. You know, he makes these preaches, he makes these sermons all these promises, and he's been coming up short. So basically, they look to a new god, if you will. Who could that person be? I had my ideas with regards to that, but basically, you can have the other members turn on Bray Wyatt, beat him up so bad it pretty much puts him on hiatus, let him come back in a couple of months, 2-3 months tops, and he comes back as a babyface. I think he has gone the absolute limit with this gimmick. I mean, it's just, there was a funny image that I actually saw myself that one of my followers had tweeted me some weeks back, and it was basically, God, it said something along the lines of cut an awesome promo, lose a match, repeat. Some crap like that I had. So I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the image too, because it was retweeting and it was favorited. It was like wildfire. And unfortunately, you can't really get that excited about Bray Wyatt anymore. But I tell you what, the promo that he had cut tonight when he was talking about Brock Lesnar, I tell you, I think I'm on to something, because one of the things that I had said as far as the Wyatt family members getting away from Bray Wyatt was, once you have Bray get his ass handed to him by them and you have him come back, you basically have him just stop talking cryptid. He pretty much lays it out. You understand what he's saying. He still has that swagger and all that. He could basically come back a man that has seen the error of his ways. He's seen the light, all that good stuff. Now, I don't know if you want to take that in a biblical direction or whatever. Me personally, I wouldn't touch that. I'm not trying to piss off the Mormons and all that other good stuff. But then again, knowing Vince McMahon, I mean, come on, Vince McMahon was freaking God, for Christ's sake, when he took on Shawn Michaels years back at a WrestleMania. They just may go that route, who knows. But seriously, I'm glad this was a short match. I'll say this much, Brock looked freaking good. He picked up some serious bulk, looked more defined. He's definitely WrestleMania ready, let me tell you, shape-wise. Solid ass matchup with Sami Zayn as he defeated Stardust. This was surprisingly a damn good match, and I tell you what, I'm hearing rumblings that Stardust, especially with some of the stuff that he's been posting on Twitter, basically saying the beginning of the end begins, and cryptic tweets like that, you're led to the impression that he's getting ready to hang up the Stardust gimmick. Rumblings have it that Green Arrow guy, Stephen Amell, I think is his name, is possibly going to be coming back to do work with WWE again. Possibly there's going to be a rematch between Stardust and Green Arrow. If that were to go down, I honestly would have no problem with it. But if the rumors are true of what's being reported, and combine that with what Stardust has been saying throughout social media, if in fact we are seeing the beginning of the end for Stardust and Cody Rhodes is getting ready to come back, I'm all fine for it. When the Stardust character had first came about, I just couldn't help but think X-Men's Mr. Sinister, Ziggy Stardust. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? And then I learned a little bit more about the name and how it tied into his father. Rest in peace, Dusty. I was kind of like, all right, and it kind of grew on me a little bit. The nice, weird, awkward promos that he was cutting, it found its way to me. It kind of grew on me. Am I going to miss the character? Yeah, because I can genuinely tell that Cody actually enjoys being that character, quite honestly. Sami Zayn never looked so good though, man. I'm a little bit surprised there wasn't a little bit of a cameo by Kevin Owens, considering what we had saw on Raw earlier this week with Sami Zayn coming to the rescue of Neville, taking the fight to KO. A little bit surprised. I gotta catch up on SmackDown. I don't know if maybe they might have crossed paths on SmackDown or what, but Sami Zayn looking damn good. If he can just stay healthy, he can definitely be a really great addition to the main roster. Love the fact that he's back into rotation again. But the way things are looking right now, it looks as though Sami's going to be taking on Owens for the, the Intercontinental title there. So, good matchup. Main event match. boy, was this a damn good main event match too. Triple H defending the WWE World Heavyweight title against the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose. You know what this match reminded me of? And I don't think there's going to be that many people that's going to be making this reference. And if they do make this reference, then mega kudos for them mentioning this little thing I'm about to drop. You know what Dean Ambrose versus Triple H reminded me of tonight, folks? It reminded me of a particular match from 2002. It reminded me of Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. And anybody that remembers that match, it was the street fight. It was Triple H's, if I'm not mistaken, it was his first time taking on Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels' first match back in the WWE after he had found Christ and he got resolved his nagging back injuries that he had sustained over the years, his drug addictions and all that. And this was pretty much your one-off match that you had got between Shawn and Triple H, as Shawn just went into this, and he chronicles this in his book as he just wanted to do this one match, kind of like put it behind him, but like he started to get those butterflies in the stomach again, and he had to do a whole lot of talking with God and trying to figure out if coming back to wrestling on a full-time or part-time basis would be the right move and all that. But it was his first match back, and just the way that the match played out, I'm reminded a lot of that match when I look at Dean Ambrose and I look at Triple H. I mean, that's exactly what it reminded me of. Just the style of it, the way they were going at it. Probably the only thing that was missing was just for it to be called a damn street fight, because they were really going at each other like that. Only difference, though, one of the main differences with that match compared to the match I just referenced from 2002, Dean Ambrose doesn't quite have that swagger. He's got the swagger, but he doesn't have the swagger. You know what I'm saying, folks? He doesn't have that Shawn Michaels swagger, but he has his own swagger. Yet at the same time, that swagger that he has is a little bit restricted. And I'm going to continue to say this, seeing as how I've caught up on a decent amount of his work from over the years in other promotions before he came to the WWE. He's restricted in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, he's very restricted. And I said it about 2 weeks ago, and I'll continue to say it again. If WWE would just loosen up a bit with Dean Ambrose, just throw stuff up on the canvas, let it fly where it's going to fly, see what works, what doesn't work, and just run with what does work, Dean Ambrose has the greatest potential in the world. If they want to continue to market him as a babyface, he's got the greatest potential in the world to go mega over as a babyface. He has the greatest potential in the world with the right tweaking to go up to the level of a CM Punk, which, by the way, Canadians were chanting his name tonight. I wasn't quite sure what that was about, but great matchup between these two guys that we saw. I love the insane, well, I won't say insane, but it was a somewhat decent spot that we saw where Dean Ambrose had Triple H laid out on the announcer's table. And I thought for sure he was going to go climb up the top turnbuckle and do a flying Macho Man elbow drop to Hunter that way. But I'm kind of thinking, maybe he doesn't quite have the reach. He's probably not going to do it. Sure enough, he didn't do it. Instead, he just set Triple H up on the announcer's table, climbed up on the wall barrier, and then tried to do a driving elbow that way. Triple H was able to get out the way in time. At that point, Dean was just out of it. He actually had almost got counted out. He was able to get back into the ring at the 9-second count as the match had continued. By the way, I loved how the match had began, as Triple H was pretty much owning Dean Ambrose from the technical offense, getting him in a nice arm drag, applying an arm lock on him, and then rubbing his head like, there you go, Tiger, come on, what do you got for me? And then when it was time for Dean to be a little bit of a show off, we saw him basically pull a HBK and just rest up on the ropes, and all that was sending Triple H into the red zone big time. These guys, they just gelled very well together. They reminded me so much, and I don't know if maybe that's one of the reasons why Triple H decided to work with Dean Ambrose. I don't know if it was because Dean reminded him a lot like HBK, but then not, or what. I'd love to just hear an interview where Triple H is asked, like, so why did you go through with the match with Dean Ambrose? You know, was it because he reminded you a lot of Shawn Michaels, or because, honestly, and I'm not sure if the fans have told you this, but with what you guys have been doing the past several weeks leading up to Roadblock, he really kind of came off like this. What do you say with regards to that? I would not be that surprised if Triple H gave Dean that high compliment. I'm very curious though, but these guys, they gelled very well together to the point that honestly, I would like to see these guys lock it up again when it counts the most. Critical moment in this match, we saw Dean Ambrose apply Dirty Deeds, went for the cover. You got the 1, you got the 2, and you got the 3, and there was euphoria everywhere as we were crowned a new WWE champion. It didn't happen. We did get a 1, 2, 3. Dean thought the match was over. The ref, he counted, but he said to Dean, no. Sorry, but your foot, Dean, was actually out of the ring, in between the ropes, out of the ring. Sorry, but no, you're not going to win the title that way. The match continues. And the fans were chanting bullshit, all that, whole 9 yards. It was a great little spot that we saw. And of course, controversy, come on, Montreal Screwjob. So it was nice kind of having that little bit of a moment right there. Dean, like, not really sure what to do. We saw Triple H, he came up from behind, did a dirty pin on Dean, actually tried to use the ropes as leverage as he kicked his feet up on there. Dean had managed to kick out. Match had continued. Dean put up one hell of a fight, but final sequence pretty much ended with Triple H applying that pedigree. You know how that is. Once Triple H rolls that bad boy out, I actually thought he was going to kick out, because I'm saying to myself, okay, well, if freaking Triple H, well, then again, no, they actually did the match right if you really think about it, because when Dean Ambrose one time applied the Dirty Deeds, because if I'm not mistaken, he only did Dirty Deeds once during that match, Triple H did not kick out, but because of his positioning, unfortunately, Dean did not get the belt that way. So, a little bit of controversy right there in itself. This is where the one time where WWE usually pushes the Joe McIntyre cam or whatever, and they show you what had went down, they didn't do that. You're kind of like, what the hell? But the one time we saw Dean Ambrose do Dirty Deeds, Triple H didn't kick out. We saw Triple H apply the pedigree to Dean. I don't know, for me, I was expecting for Dean to kick out, and the match continues. I guess because maybe that's just how damn of a good match it was. That's actually my match of the year candidate. And for you long-time listeners, if you've been checking me out the past couple of months, I've already given a great short list of match of the year candidates that WWE has bestowed upon us so far that I feel are definitely match of the year worthy. I'll give you guys a recap on Tuesday night. But this was definitely, if I had to just point out one match in particular for folks to check out from tonight's Roadblock, Triple H, Dean Ambrose is it. Dean Ambrose, definitely in my eyes, and I feel in a lot of eyes of Dean Ambrose fans, proved on this night he definitely deserves to be in the main event scene. WWE upper brass, they just really now need to just get behind this young man and shoot him to the moon. Just put that rocket launcher on his back and let that bad boy fly. And honestly, if you're Dean Ambrose, and I'll go a step further than that, if you are a fan of Dean Ambrose, even though he did not win the WWE title tonight, you still got to be having a big ass smile on your face for the simple fact that here's a guy that got to work with, without a doubt, one of the best in the sport of professional wrestling. Say what you will about the man, but he's done a lot for the WWE. Of course, I'm talking about Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, as you all know him as. He got to take this guy on, got to be in a program with him for many weeks, culminating in this match, and then in 3 weeks he gets to work with Brock Lesnar. I mean, if you're a fan of Dean Ambrose, you just can't help but be like on cloud nine right now, and just all the good that's been coming this young man's way. And he's only what 30 years of age, still got plenty of years left with the WWE. Play his cards right. Yeah, he's definitely going to be a multi-time champion for years to come. But so we have the main event of WrestleMania officially set now, as it's now going to be Triple H defending the WWE World Heavyweight title against the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. That should be a... Oh, damn, I said Brock Lesnar. I wish! No. Triple H is going to be defending the WWE World Heavyweight title against the Roman Empire, Roman Reigns. I wish he was defending it against Brock Lesnar. I know why I was thinking Brock Lesnar, because there was a part of me that was expecting during the main event match for Brock Lesnar to come out and interfere in this match with Triple H and Dean Ambrose, that at some point, like right when it was looking as though Ambrose was getting too close, like he was about to have Triple H's number, I was looking for Dean Ambrose to come out, and I was looking for Brock Lesnar to come out and pretty much finish up what he was beginning to do to Dean Ambrose. That Raw, what was that, 2 weeks ago, where he beat him up at the loading dock of the arena and pretty much give him a F5. Look at Triple H and, I don't know, maybe give him a F5 too or whatever, or just roll out. I was expecting for the Roadblock event to end that way. At least that way you can be like, oh wow, even more the reason why fans need to get behind Dean Ambrose, because Dean Ambrose came this close to winning the WWE title and Brock Lesnar just screwed the hell out of him. Honestly, if that would have been me, if I'd have booked it, I'd have had freaking Brock Lesnar run down there right when Dean Ambrose had did the dirty deeds. I would have had Dean Ambrose go for a dirty deeds the second time after the first one didn't work. And basically Brock Lesnar just comes running, just hauling ass on down there. And I would have had him just run into the ring, take the fight to Dean Ambrose. Soon as he hits Dean, referee throws the match out. They're fighting. Boom. Hits him with a F5. That's pretty much it. Triple H is still just, laying there or whatever. Brock rolls out. There you got your controversy right there. Referee, he decides, hey, Dean Ambrose, disqualification. As y'all know, the belt can't change hands on a disqualification. So Triple H, he wins by disqualification because of what it appeared to have. Or actually, no, did I say that right? Because let me see. If Brock Lesnar comes down and he attacks Dean Ambrose, then no. Then Dean Ambrose would win via disqualification. But the title cannot change hands on a disqualification. So still, your WWE champion Triple H. I would have had it play off like that, and then that would have built up Raw for tomorrow night. Dean could have come out talking about how he had it, how he tasted it, how he had Triple H's number, but the freaking beasts incarnate, Brock Lesnar, he wants a piece of Lesnar. Lesnar come out, and then you get Paul Heyman instead. Paul, I kind of agree with what Ric Flair had said on Woo Nation. I think it was from earlier this week or last. He basically said Paul Heyman, no doubt he's a great talker and all that, but a lot of times he puts too much heat on himself. And when you look at great managers like a Bobby Heenan, Bobby, yeah, he talked, but he always was willing to get his ass kicked. And unfortunately, we really haven't seen Heyman be put in a situation where he's constantly getting his ass kicked. I'd like to see one of those rare moments, that would have been a great setup for Monday night. You could have had Dean Ambrose call out Brock, Paul comes out instead, Paul gets beaten the crap out of by Dean Ambrose. He does dirty deeds. That pretty much takes care of Paul Heyman for a couple of weeks. It would have been a nice way to, but it is what it is. But overall, I definitely have to say Roadblock, it was good for a Saturday night event. I must say it was good. I know Razor had put out a tweet. He said this was kind of like watching Saturday Night Raw. It kind of felt like that, but better. I know that's kind of weird, but if you really think about it, you're gonna kind of be like, yeah, it actually was better than Raw when you really think about it. But no, it was definitely awesome. I'll definitely recommend you guys check it out. You're not gonna find any negativity coming from me. All the matches, for the most part, was definitely on point. My match of the year candidate definitely goes to Triple H, Dean Ambrose. What was another good match? I actually like Sami Zayn versus Stardust. That was actually a pretty damn good match as well. Revival taking on Amore and Cassidy was another one, and I would give a honorable mention to Jericho taking on Swagger. So that's pretty much gonna do it. I'm on here for a couple of more seconds, so if you guys want to put something out there as far as what you thought about Roadblock tonight, you can hit me up via the Spreaker chat or on Twitter. And one more time, I'm going to plug those again since we're getting ready to wrap it up. I am on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Facebook, Infinity One Productions. That's with an E, spell out one. Infinity One Productions. And hey, remember, you can leave a voicemail message on the website over at infinityoneproductions.com with an E, put in the actual number 1. All that info, in case you missed it, check out the episode description. We also have a store, so you guys can go buy some really cool goodies of ours. So in the chat room, I saw a couple of comments here. I see Razor had said matches of the night. Oh yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, Razor. Yeah, let me go back. No. So for sure, match of the year candidate, Triple H, Dean Ambrose. Charlotte taking on Natalya. Third would be Revival. Yeah, third would be Revival taking on Amore and Cassidy. And then honorable mention would go to Swagger and Jericho. But Razor said matches of the night for me: Natty versus Charlotte, Enzo and Kaz versus Revival, Triple H and Ambrose. Paul said good matches. I'm always happy to see Brock Lesnar defeat the Wyatt family. Great match with Triple H and Dean Ambrose. I believe they're going to give the title to Roman Reigns. Yeah, I tell you, I don't know why they're not going to pull the trigger on best friends going at it. I mean, you got the storylines planted right there. Great little story right there. Nice little ending. I mean, they haven't had a cool ending like the way I'm thinking, not since, I can't believe I'm getting ready to drop his name, but I'm going to drop it, when Chris Benoit had won the WWE title and Eddie Guerrero came out and they had that embrace. This is their new moment with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns at Mania, but doesn't seem like they're going to go in that direction, unfortunately. But It is what it is. My phone just went off, so I'm not sure if I got something on Twitter. See what's going on here. I'm looking on Twitter now. Boom. No, nothing on Twitter. That's weird too. I had heard a notification. Oh, there we go. Razor said something on Facebook. Razor, you got me going all over the place, man. It's all good though. All right, and see, I'm still looking up comments here. See what we got going on here. We might be done after this though, guys. Yeah, we're done after. That's a funny image, Razor. Nah, we're done. We're done on that. No. All right, so we did pretty good for a Saturday night. I'm very curious to see how this does on demand, because it's Saturday night. Everybody is like out at a club or they're getting laid and all this other shit that's going on. Me personally, I'm definitely going to be doing all that before the weekend is out. But no, seriously, I was kicking back. I actually worked earlier today, so I actually got off work a little early, so it was nice for me to kick back after I got off work a little early, have a bite to eat, catch up on some stuff on the DVR, and then I'm already home anyway. I didn't plan on going out. I just had a nice, relaxful night watching Roadblock pleasantly. My expectations weren't that high. I went into this just saying, okay, it's going to be whatever, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Roadblock definitely gets a pass. Keep the conversation going. I want to hear from you guys that have saw Roadblock, and we'll follow up on you all's reactions on a all-new RCWR show that you'll be able to check out this Tuesday night of March 15th, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. Remember, for all the very latest, kick on back, smile, rewind. Check out previous episodes of the RCWR show you might have missed on the downloads and on demand on great platforms such as what you're listening to right now, Spreaker or YouTube, iTunes, Mixler, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, all over the place. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go round. Take care.